Welcome to Two Bitches and a Broom podcast with your host, Charli and Krys. Welcome to episode 7 of Two Biatches and a Broom podcast. So we are going to continue on this week with building on your spirit team, all encompassing those members of your team. And last week, we touched on, just to kind of recap, we touched on guides. So main guide, protection guide, specialty guides, helper guides. And we also touched on the differences between archangels and guardian angels. So if you're watching this episode and you didn't catch that one, go back to previous one before this for those members. Today, we're going to get into ancestors, spirit animals. I love the spirit animal talk because
that's going to be fun.
Nobody includes spirit animals or even thinks, of connecting with spirit animals and gaining that knowledge and perspective. I don't know how many freaking times somebody would say, it's so weird. I keep seeing fox stuff and I am on the TV, images all over, and foxes keep popping up in my dreams. And I'm yeah, no shit, Sherlock. That's because spirit animals connect with us too, and they have valuable information and teachings, and they also provide healing medicine. And I don't know about you, but I don't know how many times they're like, I don't know how to connect with a spirit animal. How do you connect with your best friend? how do you talk to anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Same way, right? And spirit animals are so, in my opinion, animals in general, extremely easy. It's just very straightforward, usually one word things, quick sentences. So spirit animals, and we're going to touch on loved ones too, and then see what else flows in this conversation. So
yeah, I feel like with spirit animals, and I think anybody who is a medium and connects with that does animal communication, they will also agree with me on this standpoint. Talking with animals is much different than when you are communicating with a deceased loved one, right?
Right.
The communication is very similar to a child. It's very it's like a word here, a word here, a word here. It's very much limited vocabulary kind of thing, but they get their point across. Is it possible?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah, I like it actually, because to me it's quick, concise, to the point.
Absolutely.
Anytime that I communicate with animals, and the energy that they give off is also very telling. And I feel like it's not that communication with other incarnate beings aren't strong or else, but it seems to be they speak a lot through their energy too. Alone,
Yeah.
So I like it. But yeah, that's an odd thing that that's an odd thing that nobody really thinks to incorporate into their practice.
I think that there's a lot of misconception that revolves around spirit animal, that it's solely a shamanic practice. And although we honor all energies that are living, or otherwise, right? But absolutely, if you are, I love it when people first kind of awaken, because they're like, oh my gosh, I see butterflies everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing it. I'll be scrolling and I'll see it on a post, or I'll see it on social media, and then I'll see it in real life. And then I went into the store and I saw it. And I'm like, honey, that is the energy like screaming at you.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody who's listening to this or viewing it or whatever, highly recommend. Super, super easy. We are in this really awesome technology-based age, although that's up
Mm-hmm.
for debate with some people. You can literally just type into Google, whatever that animal is that you're constantly seeing,
Mm-hmm.
type that, if it's butterfly, and then put spirit animal energy or spirit animal meaning after it.
Mm-hmm.
You get tons of hits and it'll give you
Yep.
information. I recommend like looking at 2 or 3 of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because obviously whoever is writing it, they may be biased, and you can compare that to other entries that are listed and kind of read between the lines and go, okay, this is definitely an energy that brings. And does that coincide with where you're at in your life?
Yep. Yep.
Does that make
Yep.
sense to you? And when animal energies are coming to you, they're trying to bring you their essence. In other words, something you're lacking, something you need for your
Mm-hmm.
journey that's going to assist you on your path. Awesome energy. Totally recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Totally
Yep.
embrace it.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so what's your take on spirit teams and ancestors
Oh,
and
what
their
well,
roles?
spirit teams and ancestors. Let me think. Um, I have tons of ancestors. First, let me give you a little understanding of my definition of ancestor. That means anybody who is related to you. Okay. So that can be somebody you've never met before in your entire life, but they're
Mm-hmm.
your fifth great grandparent. I have in my ancestry team, I have 4th, 5th, 8th, 12th generations of ancestors that work with me.
Mm-hmm.
That I've never met in real life, but I have an awesome connection with, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and if you are adopted, you're still considered, they consider you part of the family. They're gonna be there. If you
Mm-hmm.
have step whatever, they're gonna be there. They consider you family. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty phenomenal to work with them. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. It's always it's always that thing where people would be, I hear this again more times than I care to say. Well, I don't know them. Like just because you don't know them doesn't mean they don't know you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's so funny
they're
because
still
I
part of your
do like a
lineage.
mediumship reading and I'll say, oh, I have a grandmother like energy here. Who is this? And they're like, no, that's not my grandmother. And I'm like, wow, that's very interesting. She's very adamant, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and blah, 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 blah. And I'll get like 5 minutes after I'm like describing, a scene or something like that. And then like,
Giving all the
well, that's
evidence.
my step grandmother. And I'm like, well, that qualifies, that definitely qualifies. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That it's so funny when that happens in mediumship settings where they're distant or they are a step or it is like an ancestral connection and they're like, well, that's not mine, or I don't know them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what difference does that fucking make?
Yeah.
They know you. And
Absolutely.
I feel like ancestors are the like such a huge and vital part of your team as a whole. Like they serve really well and they do so much, and you have to think about it too. Your you have the opportunity while you're here. This is kind of like just my viewpoint on it. You have the opportunity while you're here to kind of autocorrect some things within that line, within that family line. So if they are wanting those and having those best intentions to autocorrect some shit along your family line, don't you think that I would be if I was an ancestor serving in spirit for someone and I see like, and I can see this perspective, this, bigger perspective of this lineage and think, man, well, here's an opportunity for this person who's open to kind of make right some things or kind of shift some things within this line, create a new for the generations after.
Absolutely.
I would be first up to be like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make it better.
Yeah. It's my understanding when talking with spirit is that the ancestors work with us for a couple of reasons. One is just because they have transitioned doesn't mean their soul has stopped growing. So
right.
A lot of times they work with us in preparation of coming here again. Right? Number one. Number two, they're part of a soul family. So they're trying to assist us in whatever we're doing to complete our lifespan when we're here, so that when we do transition, we have accomplished. So we've already set up parameters like, hey, you're going to go first, you're going to go first, you're going to go first. I need your assistance.
Right.
I'm still here because being human is hard, So I can help assist out,
Being human is hard, and we've fucking human nature to overcomplicate shit.
Sure.
And when we think you've heard the term, at least back in my day, it was always like, keep it simple, stupid, right? Like that whole thing. I think people's feelings would get hurt now, like if we still said that, but it was a big thing when I was younger. Keep it simple, stupid, and it still applies till this day. It's not that hard, but we have to overthink the shit out of things and overcomplicate. And we have to think, we always think it requires 10 steps when it simply just requires your intention to connect. Easy, right? I actually just told a client this recently when a loved one came in for her, and it was like, well, that relationship wasn't really well in the living. And I said, well, I'm getting the very strong impression that there's a desire to be part of your ancestral team. And you have to also keep in mind that soul is still evolving. And it happens if they're on their path of evolvement, they can assist you. I help you, you help me, kind of thing. Like, it's mutual beneficial for all parties involved. And she was like, I never thought about it that way. I'm like, yeah, so maybe just don't dismiss so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, sure, make peace, do all the things you need to do. But when someone an ancestral person or a loved one in spirit presents themselves, and, maybe they were an asshole in life, and maybe they've recognized those choices that they made, and
which
are
happens
trying to do better. Are trying to do better. And they simply want the opportunity or seeking the opportunity to kind of assist and do better for themselves, because like you said, they are also souls on their own evolution and their own path.
Right.
So, so yeah, after that, she was like, well, I never thought that. I was expecting, so and so. I'm like, well,
yeah. I had my uncle come to me when he had passed away, and he had asked me for forgiveness for something that was not perpetrated himself, but to another family member. And I said, I cannot do that for you. That is not something that I can't give that to you, because you have to go to them and get that from them. You
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything to me. So,
Right,
I
right,
mean, I'd love to help you out, but I can't, completely wipe that slate clean of
right, right.
their behoovement because they're unaware. And also not something that at that time they were prepared to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So is there a recognition? Absolutely. I've seen it so
So
many
many
times.
times. Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I see the bigger picture and I should not have
Mm-hmm.
done X, Y, and Z, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I have a lot of people I have read for, that I've done mediumship readings for, and those individuals will ask me, they'll like, can I come back? And I'm like, yeah, you can visit whenever you'd like, especially if I'm crossing over earth bounds. I always say that because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to think that this doorway is always closed. I want them to know that you can come back, you can visit, you can,
Mm-hmm.
oversee
Mm-hmm.
your loved ones. So I have a lot of people that are like adopted ancestry. You know what I mean? That absolutely. But in my opinion, you can't have too many of a support system in spirit. You
Mm-hmm.
can't have too
Mm-hmm.
many. The more I
Right.
have, the better off I am, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you even gave me that different perspective when we talked about earthbounds, because I don't know if my brain is just always so like matter of fact, black and white. Like I have a
Mhm.
job to do, this is the job, and then this is done, and then goodbye.
Yeah.
you know, in a nice way. But um, even opening that door for the opportunity of those who, earthbound energies who have crossed,
Yeah.
that want to come back in or assist, from time to time or whatever,
Yeah.
and adopted ancestry, from just readings that you do,
Yeah.
having that opportunity to just keep that kind of door available there.
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about that at one point because, again, my mind is I shoot first, ask questions later. And I have this job to do. This is the purpose. Okay. Peace on your journey. Goodbye.
Like I have a gentleman who he's been with me for years. Um, and he was originally an earthbound and I had crossed him over, and he's like my I don't know what you call it. He's kind of like my alarm clock. He'll tell me when my kids are running late
Mm.
for something, or
Oh,
he'll tell
nice.
me when something needs to be done.
Mm-hmm,
Like if I
mm-hmm,
have forgotten something, I mean,
mm-hmm.
like if I have an appointment and I have forgotten about it, he'll remind me.
It's like
Um,
a personal assistant.
yeah, yeah, like it's really fantastic, but that's what I mean. And is he a part of my blood lineage? No, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make him any less wonderful and vital and fabulous addition to the support that I require. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because a spirit makes me look good. I need a lot of help. I need a
Amen
lot
to
of help.
that. I say that all the time. Like
You know?
this is not me.
No.
This is not me at all.
Yeah.
Because my brain is just like do 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 do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
So
it is literally my team that make me sound so insightful.
yeah,
And
absolutely. It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes the things that come out of my mouth shock myself because
Right.
I'll be in the middle of something and I'm like, damn, that was really good.
I
Not
think there's
me.
a lot of people that have the um misconception of like, you know, my grandfather is my guardian angel, or he is my
Mm-hmm.
protector, and I can understand how that can be confusing because
Yep.
my grandfather, perfect
Mm-hmm.
example, my grandfather at the very beginning, when I first started like um really opening up to communicate with spirit in a
Mm-hmm.
mediumship way, he he would always be there, and he would bring that person, like literally bring that person forward for me to communicate with. And I think he did that as a way to provide me, because I know him, as a way to
Right, right.
provide me comfort, as in, this is okay, I approve of
The
it.
security of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's that
he was,
element.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
huge. He was such a huge factor in me becoming comfortable with having those conversations. Because I've been really transparent when, after my accident, you're just seeing freaking dead people everywhere, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I don't want to even acknowledge, So it was a huge jump for me to go, okay, I'm willingly going to have these interactions, but I was also really scared. I didn't know what was
Mm-hmm.
good,
Mm-hmm.
what was bad. Is this gonna mess me up? And
Right, right.
there's like so many factors that was going through my head. I think fear was the the
Oh
resounding
yeah.
most evident factor was fear. And he helped alleviate a lot of that. So I can see where that can be confusing to somebody, like, oh, he must be a protector. No, he must be a guardian
Mm-hmm.
angel. No, but they're still a really vital, important part of your team, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he still comes in. He doesn't do that anymore. He did that until I got comfortable enough.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, kid, you got this. You
Right.
don't need me anymore. And I was like, what do you mean you're not going anywhere? He's like, oh yeah, I got things to do. I don't
And
get
you're like,
to,
no, no, no.
yeah.
You have to
So
do this.
I know, but he still comes in, gives great advice. Um, but that doesn't mean he's a guardian or protector or anything of that matter. It was just
Mm-hmm.
a role that was being fulfilled because I was a little bitch and I was scared.
Yeah, I mean, it is like fear is a motherfucker when it comes to
Yeah.
a lot of practitioners, gifted souls starting to open up and communicate because you don't have an understanding yet. First, you don't have that full trust in self,
Yeah.
and you don't have an understanding of what categories energies are and should I be interacting, should I not be? And at the same time, you're super curious about all of it. So it is overwhelming and really complex during that phase of awakening and alignment. Yeah, and I am like, it always cracks me up when I hear that kind of stuff of, yeah, they're my guardian angel, they're this, they're that, and the other thing. And I'm like, not really. I mean, they serve and they're fantastic, but not necessarily in the definition that I think society has adopted
Mhm.
over time. And I know, like, another perspective of loved ones and working with them. I know, even for myself, I wasn't, I don't feel like I really made that openness with even working closely with loved ones until my grandmother came along. We didn't have a close relationship during walking life, but man, we are like this
Mhm.
in spirit.
Yeah.
But again, like back with my client, who just completely shut that door off. If you open that door, granted, there's a lot of, each circumstance is different because there's a lot of stuff and experiences and things that happen in that relationship and whatever transpires, right? But maybe opening the door to just understanding that perspective that person had,
Right.
when my grandmother transition, I was able to, she shared with me her perspective of her time frame growing up, and her thoughts on and how she attempted to play the role that she did, of wife, mother, grandmother, all of that stuff. And would that have been something that she would have been open to share in the physical body incarnation, given cultural dogma and
Yeah.
history? No, that's
Yeah.
stuff we don't speak about. But in spirit, she shared that with me, and I understood more where she was coming from because of that. So, you know, those that have loved ones in spirit, granted, again, every situation is different and there's different things that happen, but maybe just give an ear and just see. You don't know what's going to happen. Just give an ear.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a perspective, and you're giving an opportunity for you to gain that assistance, but also for their soul on their journey, whatever it is that they're on and whatever they're making peace with in their choices. So, I feel like loved ones, ancestors are really making a big splash lately. I don't know about you, but seems like it seems like it's been the topic of conversation recently, a lot of working with ancestor ancestors, that energy, honoring ancestors, like such a big splash lately.
Yep.
So we went from like being an advocate to like for spirit guides of always talking about connect with you, you have your own team, you have your own guides, this, that, and the other thing. Now it's like I feel like a broken record with ancestral assistance and honoring ancestors. It's
Yeah.
something that I is now being very mass. Maybe it's because, collectively we're becoming more and more open
Yeah.
to accepting all of these different roles.
Yeah. Um, and I think that people are already honoring their ancestors and they don't realize it. A
They
lot
don't
of
realize
people
it.
have
Yeah.
ancestor altars and they have no idea that they have an
Mm-hmm.
ancestral altar. I promise my words will come out eventually. uh but you know, people who have like their walls that are filled with their ancestors and pictures all
Mm-hmm.
over the place, yeah, that counts. If you
Yep.
have all your loved ones that are lined up on the altar or on a certain shelf, yep, that's
Mm-hmm.
you. That's you subconsciously honoring the
Honoring them.
ancestors.
If you put something on a shelf because, oh, my grandfather, grandmother, uncle, whatever,
Hmm.
really liked this,
Hmm.
you're honoring that ancestor,
Absolutely.
you know, and
Absolutely.
you don't even realize that you're doing it. You just think, it just reminds me of them. They
Absolutely.
loved Camel cigarettes,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
put one there for them. Like, that's what you
Yeah.
do. That's what happens.
Yep.
But
I have a
oh gosh.
whole entire wall that just it's the combined of my family and my husband's family,
Mm-hmm.
just different people. And yeah, and right across from that, I actually have a, a table with an altar set up. But yeah, it's not like Hollywood, you know. You don't have to have 5,000 things and herbs everywhere. You can have a TV tray, you know what I mean? Like a little
Uh-huh.
tiny thing. And you can maybe put your loved one's coffee cup they already drink out of, maybe their rosary,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, something they carried on them, something they enjoyed. Maybe it's, your grandfather's watch or something of that
Mm-hmm.
nature, dog tags, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just put that on the table. You
Yep.
can have a collection of stuff there. And
Mm-hmm.
that will be considered an altar. And because you are honoring them, and they view that as an honor, then they go, oh, they love me. I must
Mm-hmm.
come and be present for them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
such a wonderful, it's a really wonderful experience. I highly encourage every single human being, every time you have an event, anything that's significant to you. And, I have quite a few kids, and it did not matter at every single function. We always had an empty
Yeah.
space for our ancestors that could come and join us in our festivities,
Mm-hmm.
whether that was, graduation, whether that was birthday, holiday, didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Highly encourage that. And they are going to be so grateful, and they love it. They love it. They love
Mm-hmm.
the gesture that
Mm-hmm. Yep.
you actually carved out a space just for them. So it's an awesome opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, even
Yep.
if you didn't have a great relationship or a non-existent one with them in
Mm-hmm.
life, you can have a really beautiful one when they transition. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah. And I feel like if you are in that position, that can relate to that, and you just open the opportunity to expand your own perception and understanding, you know, I mean, they can be such a vital, amazing energy to work with and to help, not just in, your own life, but if you're a practitioner in your workings and things that you do,
Mhm.
I know. I laughed one time. I went to do a house clearing, and I'm in the beginning in the front, and all of a sudden this whoosh of energy comes behind me. Oh, that's my grandmother. She was like, "Get the fuck out the way, I got this." and and that made me laugh in that moment, because I thought, man, I actually am so much closer in spirit
Mhm.
than we ever had the opportunity to be in walking life. Again, accumulated dogma of just so much stuff really can hinder the potential of relationships, and if you're thinking ancestor elders, just think about, and I tell this to people too, think about the time frame that they grew up in. Think about the programming and things. It's not what we experience today. It was very different back then. Like for my grandmother, it wasn't something that you talked about, you did, you expressed, it was a very different time. And everybody, granted, everybody has choice, but I find quite a bit of them choose to stay programmed into that, because
Mhm.
change is hard, change is uncomfortable,
Right.
for a lot of people. So, if for whatever reason, if you're listening or watching this and you can resonate and relate to that, maybe this is your sign that you have some of your ancestors that really are trying to connect with you and want to work with you.
Oh yeah.
But the door is closed, the door is
Yeah.
closed. Maybe crack it just a
Yeah.
little bit.
There was which I don't think a lot of people are aware of, but we hit every practitioner will have a house spirit, right? And we had a house
Mm-hmm.
spirit, and they are literally just protecting the home. That's their whole
Mm-hmm.
job. And we had seen a lady for a long time, no idea who she was, no idea, never give a name, it was
Mm-hmm.
like soon as we would latch on to seeing her, she would go. It was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very interesting, and I'm like, man, she's really shy. So I would very intentionally try to be as um open as I could, and to kind of extend that heart energy so she would
Yeah, that
be
welcoming.
responsive. So
I
she
don't
would be
bite.
responsive, because I'm like, I knew that She had transitioned, didn't recognize or didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
Beautiful, really nice energy. Anyways, come to find out, my youngest daughter finally had a connection with her, and she was like, oh yeah, her name is blah 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 blah, and the last name is Winchester. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Everybody knows, the
Yeah, yeah,
Winchester.
yeah, yeah.
And we did not know until, was that like a couple of years ago, we did, like we went through our ancestry and we are
Oh, yeah, yeah,
related to
yeah.
the Winchesters. And I was like,
Interesting.
that is so cool. I mean, now we know who she is,
Yeah.
but way back then,
Right, right.
it was my daughter's first connection with her that gave us the name. I guess, my daughter was definitely not as threatening. I don't know. To this day, I don't know. I was like, I tried to be welcoming,
Right. I
Uh,
said I don't bite.
yeah, yeah. So it's pretty phenomenal though. There's so many spirits that are parts of your team that people, I think the more that you're open, the more that you're aware, the more that you are receptive to it, you can understand how beneficial it is. And it doesn't matter if you're doing this professionally. I cannot stress that enough. You do not have to do this professionally in order to have a team. If you are a
Yep.
living, breathing, sentient being, you have a team. Doesn't matter if
Yep.
you do this as a profession.
Does
Yeah.
not matter. Yep.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, when I have those that are not practitioners and again, advocate for spirit guides and team and all encompassing, here I
Yeah.
go with my speech.
Yeah.
Yet again, here we go
Yeah.
with the speech. And the first thing that's usually typically out of their mouth, well, I'm not like you. I'm like, yeah, you're not. You're right. I'm not like you either. But if you came into this realm, you incarnated, you did not come alone.
Mm-hmm.
You have assistance. Every single person, if you have breath in your lungs, you have guides.
Mm-hmm.
You have team. You have the potential to connect with your ancestors, your loved ones. You have the potential to connect with spirit animal energy. You have all of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make I'm no more special than you, than the person next door, than the guy down the street, because we're all breathing. We all are in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have the same, You don't have to do this professionally. You don't have to, you don't even have to perceive that you have abilities. You just have to be open to connecting. Doesn't matter. We just like we all have intuition, kind of
Yeah.
comes with the soul, comes with the body. uh, Comes with this container, like that's part of the package. And we all have higher selves,
Yeah.
part of the package. So yeah, I think a higher self is another piece that is not talked about enough with all encompassing. At least I think I kind of, my brain tends to register it as, yes, my higher self, an extension of my soul holding this container space, but also another valuable insight of what encompasses for me and my team and where I get my guidance from, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on higher self?
I think the higher self is highly misunderstood. I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's not talked about because a lot of people don't understand it. So how in the hell can they talk about it?
Right, right.
And I think it's greatly underutilized.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The
100%.
yeah, greatly underutilized. So I'm going to tell you my take, my understanding, my definition of the higher self. The higher self is the absolute best version of you. It is the all-knowing, all-encompassing of every lifetime, all the knowledge contained. That is the higher self. So a lot of people who are self-professed channelers, in my observation, and I know we've had conversations regarding that, and somebody who has, you know, training in trance or physical mediumship or just mediumship, advanced mediumship, you can spot that pretty quickly when somebody is channeling the higher self. It's a beautiful thing. And it's sad when they say, oh, I'm channeling Archangel Michael, or I'm channeling some higher dimensional being. And it's like, man, nope, that's you. That's the higher self. And I wish that you could see and accept that you have that ability, that you can be that bright, knowledgeable person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they give all the credit to, you know, imaginationary. I just made up a word. You know, it's illusionary. They're saying they're giving that credit to something else because they cannot accept the fact that, you know, the highest version of themselves is where they got that information from. So the higher self is who you are. At least when I train for divination, that's who you are tapping into when you're using your pendulum. You know, is this a yes or a no? You know, the higher self, hopefully, again, if you're trained by me, that's who you're tapping into when you're doing tarot. So those are really great examples of the higher self. I highly recommend that you connect to that, because that is what you want to be in alignment with. That is absolutely what you want to be in alignment with. If you are experiencing any type of lack in your life, if you are feeling lack, if you are feeling stagnant, if you are feeling let down, stop, recalibrate, connect with your higher self. You know, connect with your higher self, because the higher self already knows where you're going, where you've been, and how to get to where you want to go. You want to connect with that energy of the highest, best version of yourself, so you can have a more beneficial experience while you're here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's, and I don't know, it's like, maybe it's because, you know, human nature, human design, human mental mind, that we don't we don't put ourselves usually, generally, in that credible position to have. You know, I see, it's so fascinating when you talk about channeling, because when I see someone who's channeling different beings or whatever, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, no, that's not coming from.
Yeah. You can tell when people are channeling. You can tell, you can see the difference between channeling or connecting with your higher self and truly channeling.
And
you can see the energy. You can see a completely different energy connection.
It is a difference in seeing the energy and even feeling the difference between the two. And it, to me, they just look different when they're truly channeling. But when it's your higher self, I'm like, you know, again, I don't know, human nature, human mind. I don't know, that we don't put ourselves in that position to give that credit, or if God forbid they say I'm channeling from insight from my higher self, others are going to look at them like,
Sure.
it's not a prominent, you're not a
Absolutely.
prominent figure to be able to do that,
Yeah.
but it is. And if I always say, like, one great intention, daily intention, is to walk in alignment with your higher self, your God, your deity, your higher self. And there's so much valuable insight and guidance, your own internal compass that you have readily available to you. It doesn't always need to come from other sources.
Right.
You simply can just tune into thyself.
There's really a lot of documentation to support channeling the higher self. Unfortunately, again, you have to go pretty far back, there's not a lot of modern day examples of connecting with the higher self. It really isn't. So I'm going to give you an example of this. There may be, you're having a conversation with somebody and they're talking about a subject, and you may go, oh, well, how about if you try blah, 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 blah. I've seen practitioners do this where they'll say, oh, my guide must have given me that wonderful scoop of information to impart on, the human, when really you were just so well in your vibration and you were absolutely connecting to your higher self, so that you gathered that information from your higher self. It wasn't just dropped in by a guide. You did that. That is you. So, but it can be a little confusing. I can see where it can be confusing, especially if somebody is developing their claircognizance. It can be confusing. Like, was that my higher self, or was I getting that information from my team? It can be a little confusing. But yeah.
I think that's where, again, it comes back into really getting to know and spending time with members of your team and knowing your own energy, right? Circling back to understanding and knowing your own energy. It's just like understanding and knowing when your ego steps in and what that voice looks like, sounds like to you, what that's, there's a difference between connecting in with your higher self when your higher self is dropping in, when ego's pushing in, when it's from a guide, it's from a loved one, it's from an ancestor. To me, it's always like different levels, vibrational levels that I feel with each one. But if you're not taking the time to know thyself in that way, again, you're not going to know. And if you are just jumping to, at least ass backwards developer here, in the beginning, just jumping straight to guides and angels, I didn't give credit to tuning into higher self, until later down the line. And I'm like, oh, we need to redirect and start from scratch again and reassess.
Yeah.
But everything I just would assume, it's just coming from my guide, not from me, or not from my higher self, because in the beginning I did everything the wrong way and I didn't take the time to get to know my energy. I didn't take the time to decipher higher self from ego, from team. I didn't do any of that stuff in the beginning. I just like fucking nose dived into all these rabbit holes of things because you're fascinated by everything. And you're finally in that position of, at least I was, okay, fine. Apparently this shit's not going away.
Right.
So let's figure it out, because all the prayers and things in the world is not making, you know, the house full of spirits disappear, not
Right.
making all of these things not happen anymore. So it was straight into all of these different avenues,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing to get to know yourself and your energy and your team and where all the information is coming from didn't happen until a little bit later down the line. But again, knowing yourself, knowing where all of those step in, super important. You get to, that's also fun stuff. I know everyone wants to jump to like the fun stuff,
Oh, sure.
but that's also fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's fun,
I think the
you know?
UK sets it up much
Mm-hmm.
differently than we do in Western society, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think, and I think they're onto something. That's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's absolutely why I put it in my practice for my students. They label it a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
for them, sitting in the power, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is essentially learning about your energy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's essentially what it is. Learning how to control and extend your energy and bring it back
Mm-hmm.
in, see how far you can push it back, bring it back in,
Mm-hmm.
filling up the room. And once you start to understand what your energy is, I promise you, at some point you're going to be like, holy shit, that's me, you know?
Yeah, it
Wow.
is
Yeah.
fun. It's empowering.
Yeah.
It's building. It's also built because, like, when we're talking about fear in the beginning, as you are opening up
Mhm.
and um and going through all these experiences, fear is a big thing for a lot of people. And when you get to know your energy like that empowerment that comes with it, that confidence
Mhm.
alleviates that fear too, because then you recognize you absolutely have the ability and capacity to maintain your own energy, your vibration, and do all of the things to keep yourself aligned.
Yeah.
You know, I like once I saw, I'm sure you'll know what it is, but it was a test that, oh, was I taking a workshop? I don't fucking remember. It was a long time ago, but um, it was, it was where it had a monitor to scream, like kind of like the aura pictures and stuff, where
Mhm.
you see that shift in vibration, and then they would have the person, okay, I want you to intentionally draw yourself back in, pull your aura in, and they read it off of this monitor, and then extend yourself out. And it
Mhm.
was very fascinating to see, by intention alone, this person pushing their energy out to encompass the room and then pulling it back in.
Yeah.
How empowering, how fun is that too? To think,
Yeah.
oh man, it's like I got a superpower or some shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really
That's
cool.
fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do when I do demonstrations, live demonstrations here, um, I will put my back to the room, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's one person in front, and in front of me, but my back is to them, and they will take their
Yeah.
hand and they will move it here, and I'll have them put their hands in different directions, and I will say to the right, to the left, above,
Mm-hmm.
two
Mm-hmm.
hands to the left, and that's just strictly for demonstration of being able to tell the shift in energy, that person's
Mm-hmm.
energy signature, where it's at, and
Mm-hmm.
doing fun stuff like that. Like, you guys can do this at home, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
do this at home. You can do it with your kids. It's super fun. You can do it with a friend. You can do it with your spouse. You can do it a million different ways. Super fun, though. It's a great way. It's a great way for you to kind of exercise and get to know your energy, your family's energy, your friends' energy,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to tell the difference in it. I'm
Oh
telling you,
yeah.
this is
Because
so much
if
fun.
you,
People make it super duper duper serious, and God made
oh
it so
gosh,
easy,
yeah,
and we make it so difficult, and it doesn't need to be.
overcomplicate shit. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
And just think of how, just think of how much more in tune and precise you're going to be
Mhm.
picking up on somebody else's energy when you understand yours.
Yep.
When you understand yours, think of just how much better you are going to be at perceiving the energetic space of another,
Yeah.
you know? And if you are if you are sensitive to energy and you have abilities, but you have no intention or desire to be a practitioner, you still benefit from all of the practices, the foundational practices of, like, if you were going to be a practitioner in your day to day life, because you choosing not to do anything, like not to have clients, not to be a working practitioner,
Mhm.
doesn't mean your abilities are going to go, okay, we're just going to sit on the shelf and
Yeah.
wait until you're ready. That's not how that works.
Right.
You're still going to be open. You're still going to be absorbing other people's shit, getting it, like, tanking your vibration,
Mhm.
attaching to all of these other things that don't even belong to you. And, so even if you don't care to do any of it practitioner wise, day to day, so beneficial, so beneficial for you. I like, I used to have people do, like, sit and, you sit, you take a few breaths, you center, you just let your awareness fall to your energetic space
Mhm.
and just start to push your hands out and just let yourself see where you start to feel like that buoyancy of energy and that difference.
Right.
And when I would do that exercise, simple exercise, anybody can do it, they would be shocked at, oh my God, like I do feel this difference.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that is kind of called your energy.
Yeah.
Let's see your aura and pull your aura back in, set that intention, come out where you like feel it, especially if,
Mhm.
God, especially if you're a healer, right? We're hands workers.
Oh
So
yeah.
feel that,
Yeah.
use your hand chakras, feel that energy, feel that difference. I think that's fun.
Oh yeah. That's
I
what I'm
think
saying.
that's cool.
There's so many different ways. You don't, I mean, really, if we're going back, and I hate to keep doing this, but if you go back to the 1800s, that's where
Mm-hmm.
our seances started. That's where it
Yeah.
really became pronounced, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
when that's when we got a lot of people taking notice.
Yes.
Really think that they had all of the things that we have now. Nope. Nope. They had to figure it out in day-to-day things. And that's why they were
Mm-hmm.
so good at what they did, because they seamlessly incorporated in their day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a moment where you put on your little psychic hat and then you take off your psychic hat
Right.
and you
Yeah.
go to work, or your mom, or whatever you do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or dad. It's not about that. It's about learning to incorporate it into your existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're on 24/7, 24/7, and it's wonderful to be on 24/7. I want to know. I want to know. I hope whoever's
Oh
listening
yeah.
want to know, uh,
Yeah.
what what do I need to be prepared for next?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
it be great to know when is the perfect timing to ask for that raise? you know, is now a
Yep.
good time? You know,
Exactly. And if
yeah.
you are more in tune with yourself and your energy and connecting, just think of just how much more seamlessly we have the capability to make our lives, right? The path of least resistance.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always intentional about taking the path of least resistance.
Mhm.
I have a hard head, so that doesn't always work out that way. But
I mean,
I'm a
you can
fighter.
really just look back into like Carl Jung, he
Mm-hmm.
talks about it as well as connecting with the higher self. Um, and connecting with that higher self is the route to self-awareness. It
Mm-hmm.
really truly is. Um, because I think a lot of people walk around, they're like, what, little me? I'm not very powerful. It's like, oh, honey, I wish
Yeah,
you could see yourself through my eyes, because individually, we are so powerful. Collectively,
absolutely.
it's even more
Absolutely.
so.
It's kind of, it's a little heartbreaking for me when I have somebody sitting in front of me that has yet to understand their divine power
Sure.
and tap into it. It's kind of like, yeah. And you get that, I mean, who am I to, it's
Sure.
not like this, and, nobody. I'm like, you really think you came here to work a 9 to 5 and die? Is that what you really think?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think you came here just to do that and just exist? Like, no. And it's a little heartbreaking because I see that divine power and that potential that's all just right there. All it's waiting for is that connection to be made within self.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think that people need to like become more aware of everything, every single thing that you are experiencing in your world is what you are conscious of being. So if
mm-hmm.
you have to ask yourself, what are you conscious of being? Because you are programming your subconscious mind. So what you're
Mm-hmm.
telling yourself, right? What are you telling yourself right now? Are you thinking I'm powerless? Because if you are, then that's exactly what you're going to experience.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
your body is your church. Your power is written in your essence. You
Mm-hmm.
know, universal consciousness breaks itself off into what we call spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Then it
Yep.
individualizes itself
Mm-hmm.
into what we call the soul. That soul lives out its existence in what we call the body, right? So if the if the ocean is universal consciousness, a cup full of that ocean is spirit. So if I was to, put ice cubes into that cup, that is me personalizing it, which is
Mm-hmm.
individualizing that. You're so powerful. Don't underestimate yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It's like I tell people, the universe energy is black and white. It's simply going to respond based off what you are declaring and emitting. It's not going to read between the lines
Yeah.
and say, well, she's having a bad day right now, so
Yeah.
it's going to be okay. It simply is going to give you what you are declaring and what you are thinking. So if you are perceiving that you are powerless,
Yeah.
those are the examples that you are going to continue to receive.
Okay.
When you decide to change
Absolutely.
that, then the universe will act accordingly. But you are the one that is setting the tone for that.
Absolutely. Um, I can remember a period of time where I felt very like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Because,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm trying so hard to uh, be a good practitioner, my guide, you know, just kind of gave me that whole, wow, those are some really difficult circumstances that you have created for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, thanks for that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. I appreciate that. So keep in mind, anything that annoys you is just teaching you peace. Anything or anybody who abandons you is teaching you how to stand on your own. Anything that angers you is teaching you forgiveness. Anything that has power over you is teaching you to take your power back.
Exactly.
You are constantly, the universe all around you, everything that you have co-created into your experience is teaching you. Stop, take a breath, and realize what you are being taught. What do you want to take from this experience? What do you want tomorrow to be?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. So we have any final thoughts on the extension of team as we're touching on guides, touching on ancestors, spirit animals, loved ones, self understanding, higher self energy?
No, I think I've said everything. I think I have. I hope I have. I don't know.
Yeah, I think now is such a prime time to set yourself up to connect in with your energy, connect in with your higher self, and expand your awareness into those that are here to assist you and your team. And look at, again, broken record, but look at the experiences that you had through the course of your life. Just like what you were saying, I tell people that I don't know how many times I've repeated this yesterday, of you're gaining value on a soul level from those experiences.
Yeah.
And it's generally, I always kind of go into like the grit of a lesson, the grit of the empowerment. If you wanted to learn love and the understanding of internal love, are you going to surround yourself with everybody who's just so loving and it's always so giving, it's always so warm and fuzzy? Are you going to really get the grit of that empowerment of that lesson? No, you're not, because you're not going to know the experience of the opposite of that. So we set ourselves up to come in and experience the opposite of those that we are trying to learn, because we're intended to pull that out of us, right? You're having all of that learning forgiveness, learning love, learning compassion. You're going to experience the adverse part of that, because that's kind of the point.
And I think that that's really important that you bring that up, because if people are practicing, right, on opening up, and they're like, why am I not clairvoyant? I want to be clairvoyant. Spirit is going to give you so many examples of why you are not clairvoyant. In other words, what you're blocking yourself from becoming clairvoyant, which 9.9% of the time, 99% of the time is fear, right? Fear of what I'm going to see, fear of what that's going to be like. And they're going to give you lots of examples of that, of why you have got to release that control. It's perfect segue into yeah,
absolutely. And I know, like, I even had that one question before of why is this Claire? I teach and believe we all have all the Claires. They're all functioning at some level, right?
Yep.
So when people are like, I have this, that, and the other thing, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make you special. Everybody has all of it, right?
Like, yeah, I know.
I mean, maybe that's a great marketing tool. I don't know, but this doesn't make you different. And you all have this, we all have the same.
Yeah.
And it was one time where I was really like, why is this Claire not functioning? And my guide was, but you keep saying it's not. So then it's not.
Congratulations. How'd that work out for you?
Right, exactly. Either you already are, or you are not.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to choose? And I was like, well, I mean, you don't have to be an ass about it. You could just tell it.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's
It
true.
is.
It is what, in your continuously receiving those examples of why that's not examples and opportunity to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So when those opportunities presented itself, it really was that question: are you still choosing to perceive that you're not, or are you going to open up and start accepting that you already are?
Mm-hmm.
I already am clairvoyant. I already am clairsentient. I already am claircognizant.
Mm-hmm.
It's already there, right? But gosh, man, fucking human nature. We make it so damn complicated.
If people only knew how powerful their personal belief is, it would be mind altering. Your belief is everything. If you believe you are a shitty person, congratulations, you are. If you believe that you are fantastic, congratulations, you are.
Yeah.
Your brain is such a powerful tool, and it believes everything that you tell it. You are programming it. So if you are saying I am not, then you're not.
Then you're not.
It's
that old saying.
Also is going to call bullshit if you lie too.
Yeah.
So if you are experiencing things and you're going, oh, I'm a profound clairvoyant, your brain is going, the hell you are. What you want to say is, I am working towards becoming a profound clairvoyant, and I'm getting better and better every day. Every day, and keep saying that every single day. Keep saying it
every day, and every way. I'm getting better and better at everything, whatever particular thing you're working on. Clairvoyance, every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. I'm opening more and more to recognizing all. And that I find, like, this could just be personal experience. The funny thing is, at the end of it, hindsight, I'm like, well, that didn't have to be that hard, did it? Because it was already there.
Yeah.
It was already there.
Yeah.
And my guide's like,
yeah,
I told you. Either you already
look at what you have created. It's like my guide.
Yeah.
Look at what you have created. How creative of you.
Right.
Creative,
Look at you, go Glen Coco, like on your stuff. That's just like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
And I think that's what the hard part is because, after you receive that information, and I mean, you truly receive it and you accept it, you acknowledge it, then you're like, well, damn, I can't blame anybody. I got to point the finger at myself. That's not fun. I can't even blame it on anything,
Yeah, no, you can't. Like, yeah, no, I am the drama. Yeah, you're right. I absolutely am.
Yeah.
And I created it for myself. So, okay.
Whoopsie. Yeah.
I'll learn for next time. Okay, that's great. But so I think we're at a good stopping point for really I think we've dove into all of this as much as we can dissect it at this time, but I hope that whoever is watching this or listening, either on YouTube or Spotify, that you've gained something of value from both of our insights. I'd love to hear, I'm sure I can speak for you on this too. We love to hear your feedback, questions, comments, stories, experiences. And, make sure to, what's the stuff? Like, subscribe, share, all of the things. We really appreciate it. All of the love. And I think we'll wrap it on up.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Right, thank you. Bye.